Ladies and gentlemen, Chapter 3, Communication. On this video, we will discuss three major points: mechanical point, emotional point, and flow of energy. Before we start discussing the way Lorraine and I communicate through the dancing, I would like to clarify one very important general misunderstanding. The general approach is to try and do everything from our common center. And this is the first thing that I want you to change in your mind. The so-called common center is, of course, very important in relationship to the balance of the couple. Of course, you can find all this information on chapter number 2. When we're discussing communication, the common center does not create or transfer any information. So if we now move to point number 1, which is the mechanical aspect, we can divide that in three clear levels. We have a joint level, nerve level, and muscle level. I have mentioned them in this order because this is the order of importance of them. So let's start from the joints. The first thing I would like you to visualize is the image of a big restaurant. In these big restaurants, there are many tables, but each table only has 2 chairs. So once this restaurant is full and every table is taken, you have many different communications happening at the same time. But each communication is between only 2 people. If we now change the vision of the restaurant to the vision of the body, and we take connection, I want to visualize us as this big restaurant. My wrist joint and Lorraine's wrist joint create one table, so they can communicate with each other. Regardless of every other table in the restaurant. My elbow joint and Lorraine's elbow joint also communicate. Regardless of every other joint in the body. And we can continue this from my left shoulder joint to Lorraine's left shoulder joint, from my left hip joint to Lorraine's right hip joint, and so on and so on and so on. So we have all this different communication and information being shared constantly between our 2 bodies. Of course, your first reaction will be, how can my mind control all these coordinations? How can my mind control all the movement of my joints? Later on, we will do exercises that will help you to create this natural coordination. And for sure, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 will also help you understand how you can achieve this communication. So when I look at Lorraine and when Lorraine looks at me, we don't look at each other as a one unit of body, but we look at each other as a combination of many joints which we will coordinate with each other. Therefore, the way we are going to connect will not be body and body, which can look nice, but becomes very difficult once we start moving, because, of course, we now have one unit of weight moving and creating all kind of side loads and non-correct usage of energy flows. So when Lorraine and I take position, we look at each other as a combination of many joints, and we associate joint to joint. In this way, we can both keep freedom and communicate. without disturbing our own personal balance and without disturbing our own balance of the couple. So, Lorraine, would you like to say something about this?
Yes, absolutely. Everything that Luca has said is exactly what I feel in my body, a great relaxation. Therefore, once I have received an information, a touch, my senses in my body are open and applying the same amount of feel to Luca as he gives me.
So remember we spoke about 3 levels of understanding. In order to be able to have this kind of communication, the senses, as Lorraine mentioned, are very, very important. So you have to start by just creating one connection and creating an awareness of the possibility of those 2 joints to move at their own speed in their own way. Slowly increasing that awareness to the 2 elbows, the 2 shoulders, the other shoulder, the other elbow, and then to each vertebra in your spine, so that the communication also through the trunk of the body is now totally free and isolated. So this is point number 1. Now this coordination goes from our toes to our fingertips. If I want to turn Lorraine's head from her left to her right, I will not do that with my common center. I will not do that with my arms. I will simply increase the shape of my head. Lorraine will then sense this change in my head and respond with her head. So let's try this. If I take a promenade, if I want Lorraine's head to change, I will change my head. So even if now you see 2 bodies together and coordinated together, this illusion of togetherness is created by coordinating correctly every single joint in our body. The same goes for your hips, for your knee, for any activity as man I wish to inform Lorraine of must go directly to the joint I wish Lorraine to move. So if I want Lorraine to be flexible on her hip joint, I will just have to be flexible in my hip joint. Not with the whole body. Not by forcing Lorraine to do a movement. Lorraine, on the other hand, will respond to that movement. Again, we are creating an illusion of being together. So let's move to the second point, which is the understanding of the nerve system. Once I've created all these satellites, which are all our joints in the body, I need to create a network which creates a relationship between all those satellites. To do so, I use the nerve system. The nerve system can also transfer emotion, but we will discuss that a little later. So what we will do today also, we will work on how to do exercises and how to create an awareness between my nerve system, first of all, and then relating that to Lorraine's nerve system. The nerve system is everywhere in our body, as you know. The 5 major points I am very aware of are the following. My toes, my center of gravity being placed on the lower spine, my fingertips. Through these 5 points, I can create a greater ballistic transfer of information. Therefore, the information can move at a very high pace through the nerve system. So the balance of usage between my joint level of information and my nerve level of information is constantly changing depending from the speed of the action I am creating. So let's say I'm doing a very slow action. The level of information is majority of the information is created through the joint system. If I wish to create a more ballistic, a sharper, a more quick information, then the level of usage of the nerve system will increase. Please do not misunderstand this point. I will still have a total freedom of joints, but I will also feel a greater electricity going through the nerves in order to give this information at a higher speed. Lorraine will respond to this and therefore feel, okay, there's a faster information coming. Lorraine, my dear?
Absolutely. Therefore, it's very important, as I said the word again, it's relaxing. You need to be relaxed. The information is changing all the time, so therefore we don't want the head thinking what the information may be. I feel totally focused and connected inside of Luca. So therefore my responding to him is as quick as he wants it or as slow as he wants it.
So this is why I chose the title of this chapter as communication, because it is a communication between two people, between a man and a woman. Therefore, it is not just a man leading and a lady following. We are communicating. The man is, of course, in command, but it's also totally aware of the lady response. I like motorcycles, and I know that when I'm on my motorcycle, if I accelerate, the bike will go faster. If I decelerate, the bike will slow down. Because the bike has no instinct, has no brain, has no feeling. When I'm connecting to another human being, this person has feelings, emotions. Therefore, I do not expect, when I dance with Lorraine, I do not expect Lorraine to follow exactly what I do. I expect Lorraine to harmonize with my movement, but I expect Lorraine to respond to my movement. From that response, I will then command the next information and the next action. Therefore, it's very similar to riding a horse. The horse is his own mind, is his own idea. And you have to constantly adjust depending what the horse wants to do. Of course, I am not comparing my partner to a horse, but as a concept of there are two animals, there's feelings, there's emotions. Therefore, ladies, please make sure that you do not just sit there and follow the man.
Yes.
Lorraine, to me, she makes sure that she keeps me instigated. She keeps me motivated, on alert, to feel her responses. And as men, that is exactly the same thing I do to Lorraine. So there is never a moment of silence between our two bodies. There is never a moment of boredom. Therefore, every time Lorraine and I practice, every time we connect, every time we take position, something will be slightly different in order for the senses to remain on alert. I do not mean you have to do strange things, but you can for sure give different speeds, starting on one foot or the other foot, moving to the girl, waiting for the girl, changing the tone to which you are connecting.
And also finishing lines. When you receive an information, you will continue that information until you receive another information.
Yes, this is a very important aspect too. So Lorraine will continue my previous information until a new information comes. So that, again, that communication continues. The answer is not just yes, no. Can you imagine if you went to that restaurant we mentioned earlier, and the person in front of you would just answer you back, yes, no? I don't think that would be a very enjoyable conversation. So you have to share feelings, communications, experiences, also in your communication when you dance. Now, let's move to point number 3, muscles. As mentioned on chapter 2 and on chapter 1, we have the minimum amount of usage of muscles as possible. So also at the communication level, the muscles I will only engage consciously, I repeat, consciously, only when I want to create a bound action. What is a bound action? A bound action is an action that becomes compact and creates a very strong, stable energy all in one area, without touching my partner. This, of course, is very important in tango, and any time that you wish to create a fast, sharp action. Therefore, I do not want to apply my muscle power into Lorraine, because this will burn my own energy and will cause problems to Lorraine's balance, and she will not be able to respond to anything like this. Therefore, the muscles I will use just to bound the energy inside, within my boundaries. So I will have joints, nerves, and finishing with muscles just to bound. To then release muscles as soon as they are no longer needed. Very common mistake is create a bound action and then holding the tension in those muscles. As soon as the action is bound, the muscles are released again, so that the joints and the nerve system can become, once again, the major leading and communication aspect.
Yes, I think it's very common in tango that the lady feels slight neck pain. And this is actually due to the bounding that the man gives and the lady rejecting it. Once again, there is a great usage of the joints and a feeling of quickness, the speed of flicking the head rather than trying to turn the whole body in one piece. So a great relaxation again. I use that same word all the time, relaxation. I'm responding to the information that I receive. It could be slow or it could be very, very quick. Therefore, I need to be ready for it. If I anticipate it, therefore, I will then pull Luca out of balance and cause myself to become out of balance.
So now that you have a beginning of understanding of how mechanically a man and a woman can communicate, we can move on to subject number 2.